welcome to the Rob Burgess Show. I am, of course, your host, Rob Burgess. On this, our 117th episode, our guest is me. My first solo episode of the podcast was episode 41, the second was episode 62, and the third was episode 84. And on episode 100, I was joined by my wife and regular guest, Ash Burgess, who interviewed me. I am a 9-time award-winning journalist whose work has appeared in print, radio, online, and television. And on Monday, I started my new job as news editor of NUVO Newsweekly, where I was also a freelance reporter and photographer back in 2010 and 11. Most recently, I was managing editor of the Indiana Lawyer. I have previously worked as city editor / opinion page editor / editorial board member at the Kokomo Tribune, and before that as a reporter at WFHB, Times Mail, the Reporter Times, Ukiah Daily Journal, and Ukiah Valley Television. Oh yeah, and I'm also the proprietor of the podcast, The Rob Burgess Show. And now, on to the show. Alright, back once again. It's your host, it's me, it's Rob Burgess, coming at you, another solo episode. I know it's your favorite. One of these episodes that I do is just me talking into a microphone, no guest or anything. So, let's get into it, though. So, first of all, since the last time I did a solo episode was the 100th episode of the Rob Burgess Show, I also had Ash interview me on that episode as well, but the first couple minutes there was just me talking just like I am now. So anyway, let's see what's happened since then. So first of all, I won another award. Was an 8-time award-winning journalist last time I was at you here, and now I'm a 9-time award-winning journalist. On April 27th at the Indiana Professional Chapter of the Society of Professional Journalists 2017 Best in Indiana Contest Awards ceremony at the Indianapolis Marriott North. I won first place for coverage of government or politics for publications with a circulation below 30,000. I wrote a story called Holcomb doubles Pence's 4-year total of pardons in one day. That was originally published on December 13th of last year. That was a story I wrote for the Indiana Lawyer when I was managing editor there. The judge's notes for that were as follows. Interesting use of records to compare and contrast pardons by recent governors. Insightful analysis into former Governor Mike Pence's apparent hesitation to exercise the pardoning authority for the sake of political convenience. So I was very proud of that, and I won my 9th award for that. Also, since the last time I spoke with you, I was one of the judges of the 2018 Leadership in Law Awards. A total of 30 Indiana attorneys were honored on May 8th at the Two Deep Brewing Company in Indianapolis. Both of the categories, which were Distinguished Barrister and Up-and-Coming Lawyers, featured 15 honorees. So I've judged several contests, and that's another one I was happy to add to my list there. Alright, so I should probably tell you the most exciting thing that's happened since the last time I talked to you at a solo episode here. I am no longer at the Indiana Lawyer. I was managing editor at the Indiana Lawyer, and you're hearing that I'm recording this on Saturday, and on Monday I will start my first day as the news reporter for NUVO Newsweekly in Indianapolis. I'm going to put this out on Wednesday, so I'll have already started by then, but I am starting on Monday in the future now, in the past for you. But I'm very excited about that. And so I actually was a freelancer for NUVO Newsweekly way back in 2010 and 2011. So I took pictures and I wrote stories, but I was a freelancer at that time, and that was before I worked at the Kokomo Tribune from 2012 to 2017, and then of course before I worked at the Indiana Lawyer from last year until this year. So I'm very happy to be back there. I learned a lot during my experiences there the first time, and I'm really looking forward to working there again, but obviously in a full-time capacity as opposed to being a freelancer. So yeah, this is a big change for me, but I'm really excited about it. Okay, so as far as the Rob Burgess Show podcast goes, so first of all, probably the biggest news on the social media front is that I have deleted the Rob Burgess Show Facebook page, the dedicated one that I had. I never actually cracked 100 people that liked it, so it didn't feel like much of a loss, and it was really kind of hard to see bumping that up anymore. It seemed kind of stuck at that level. And I also have a separate business account, which is just my business page for just Rob Burgess. So if you want to follow that has 500 and some followers or likes or whatever you call it on Facebook. So if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, such as it is on Facebook, that would probably be the way to do it. But honestly, I don't know. I don't even really mess with Facebook much anymore. So I still have a presence there, and I'm never going to delete that business page because I do want people to be able to find me on Facebook, because I know that's the only way that certain people do communicate, especially people I haven't spoken with in a long time. So, I'm going to continue posting my stories that I write for NUVO there, and you can definitely find, anything you want to about me on that page, but at the same time, I don't think Facebook is a good company, so I'm really not trying to support them, and also it's a time suck, and there's just so many reasons not to be on Facebook all the time. So anyway, the Rob Burgess Show dedicated page is gone, so if you're trying to click on that in the old episodes, I'll go back and change the links and stuff, but from what I could tell, it didn't really seem like many people were following anyway. But if you want to find my personal one, it's facebook.com/Rob Burgess, all one word. So hopefully you'll be able to find that if you so desire. So last time I had a solo episode, I talked about the Twitter account and how, I had to unfollow a bunch of people because I reached the limit. Apparently there's a limit when you have a low follower count that you can only follow so many other accounts, and I had reached that limit, which seems to be about 5,000, and then I had to unfollow everybody. And then when I did that, Twitter, they went through and they started steadily deleting the people that were following me. I'm assuming in retaliation, or maybe it was coinciding with the bot purge of the time. But anyway, it got down pretty low. I had been at about 1,100, and I lost, I think, almost 200 followers after that happened. But I had a couple other, posts that got around a fair bit, and, like I said, I'll follow anybody that interacts in any way with the Twitter account. So, I'm back up over 1,000 followers. Actually, looking at the Twitter account right now, I am at exactly 1,000 followers. So no one better unfollow me before I put this out. Otherwise, I'm going to have, egg all in my face. But, it's at least creeping back up, and, I'd like to get that much higher. And I know a lot of you have Twitter accounts, so yeah, I don't post that much. I'm not going to go bombard you, but, it is a good way to stay in touch with the podcast if you're on Twitter. I can't vouch for Twitter as a company. Again, I have huge problems with them and Facebook as corporations, but but I do have to get the message out for the podcast somehow, and that seems like the most convenient thing. So I do maintain a presence on both. Okay, so I'm looking at the website here. So I'm looking at the website stats, and I'm at just over 40,000 page views all time, 40,809 to be exact. Now, I mentioned last time that Ukraine was a big, at least visitor of the website, if not actual listeners of the podcast. I don't know if the robots are based out of there that they monitor the Rob Burgess Show with, but, that is where a lot of traffic comes from. This time, however, Russia is very high on the list. Just in the last week here, we have 208 page views from Russia, 16 from the United States. So if I have some Russian followers, Russian listeners, hey, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. I'm not going to say that you're all robots and, maybe you all want to know what's going on over here in America. I'm not going to assume that you are bots, although that does seem to be where a lot of the bot activity comes from. But, you're welcome to listen, and I'm glad to have you. I did notice that this all came, 195 page views came almost immediately on the 28th, which is today. So sometime today, there was a huge influx, but I don't know if that's like indexing or some computer thing. Who knows? But anyway, over 40,000 page views on the website, which is good. I'll take it. I'm not going to say it was all juke the stats or whatever. All right, so I'm looking on SoundCloud now, which if you haven't followed the SoundCloud page, please do. It's soundcloud.com/the-Rob-Burgess-show. We have 13,428 plays in total. Again, I'm not sure how this works as far as if, because I run my RSS feed out of there. I don't know if that's everyone that's ever listened to it in an audio-only format. So I don't know if this is only people that listen on the SoundCloud page, or if this is also people that listen elsewhere through the SoundCloud feed. But anyhow, that's what the thing is. So last time I talked to you, it was at 11,000 something, so we've had about 2,000 more plays. That's great. Please keep listening. Please follow if I haven't mentioned that already. Looking at the YouTube page, if you would subscribe to that, that would be great. I've got 40 subscribers on there. That's a little more than I had before. I always make a video and put it on YouTube every time I put out an episode. So if that's a way you prefer to get the podcast as opposed to through iTunes, I totally understand that, and that would be really cool if we could get that bumped up as well. 6,637 views in total. So yeah, the iTunes page is interesting. There's been 13 customer ratings, and it's at 5 stars total, although I know not all of the customer ratings have been 5 stars, but whatever, I'll take it. It must have bumped it back up on an average, because I think it was like 4.5 for a while, and now it's 5. So some of you weren't rating it 5 stars, which if you don't rate it 5 stars, don't bother rating it at all, but please rate and review the podcast if you're going to do what you should do and do the 5 stars, and I know you're going to do that. So anyway, find it on iTunes. That's actually one of the best ways to help get the word out about the show and just really help promote it, and I really appreciate that. Okay, so the last time I did a solo episode on episode 100, I did not run through the episodes as I had done previously. The last time I did that was on episode 84. So I am going to go through all the episodes we've had since episode 84, which is the third solo episode I had. And so starting with episode 85, we had Maureen Mulheron, also known as Mo, or the Mo you know. She's a Ukiah, California City Council member. Would like to have her back. We talked about the wildfires that were happening several months ago when she was on then, and what do you know, the wildfires are back on in that part of the world, so it would be great to have her back on, so I'll definitely reach out back to her. Episode 86 was Ash Burgess, my wife, of course, her 8th appearance solo on the podcast. Episode 87 was a big one. This is one of the most popular episodes we've had. Carlos Dangler, formerly of Interpol, the bass player, and now he is an actor and doing all sorts of great stuff. Hope to have him back on the podcast soon, but that was a very popular episode. Continues to get a lot of hits, a lot of listens, a lot of interest, so thank you, Carlos. Next episode was episode 88, also with Carlos Dangler. We came back, we talked about a lot of different stuff. We talked about the Me Too movement, a lot of different things surrounding that. Episode 89 was another regular guest of the show, very popular, maybe our most popular guest, Sarah Kenziger. Her 3rd appearance, again, one of the most popular episodes we have. Episode 90 was Mallory Willits-Goppo. That was her 3rd appearance, and that was interesting because we had kind of the journey from her meeting her now husband, Wisdom, in the first episode. It was before they had gotten married here in the U.S. The second episode was she was kind enough to go to when she visited Ghana. She recorded some audio clips for us. Episode 90, where she came back for a 3rd time, we talked about Wisdom, her now husband, coming back to America, him getting settled. We'll have to have her back eventually to talk about how their lives are going now that they're a little more settled here in the U.S. It's been quite a journey, and we've been along for it. So, episode 91 was Ash's 9th appearance on the show as a solo guest. We had episode 92 with Jonathan Fowler, of course, one of his many appearances. Episode 93, Jeff Weiss, proprietor of Passion of the Weiss Twice blog, also formerly of the LA Weekly, now against the LA Weekly, which has been an interesting journey for him. Great episode. We talked about what's going on in local media and some things that he's trying to do with promoting good journalism. Episode 94, Tony Diaz, El Libro Traficante, the book smuggler. We talked about, some crackdowns that have been thwarted on Mexican-American studies, crackdowns on free speech in schools, especially books, intellectual freedom. That was a great episode. Episode 95 was the third appearance of Lynn Walsh, former national president of the Society of Professional Journalists, which I'm proud to be a member of. She came in and talked about her new gig and all the other things that are going on with the SPJ, which was great. Episode 96, D.K. Hamilton, a great comic I saw at the Limestone Comedy Festival years back, knows a lot about Prince. We had a great in-depth conversation, so if you're a Prince fan, I would highly recommend checking out that episode. Episode 97, Brandon Chapman. He'd been on before with one of my former coworkers, his best friend, Josh Sigler, and of course he's of the Sounding Off podcast, and you should definitely check that out if you haven't heard it, and we'll have to have Brandon back real soon. Episode 98, Tom LoBianco, formerly of the Associated Press in Indiana, formerly of the Indianapolis Star, formerly of CNN, now back at the Associated Press, but based in Washington, writing a book about Mike Pence. We talked about all sorts of things on that one. Great episode if you're into journalism and politics in general. Episode 99, Sarah Kendzior, fourth appearance, another super popular episode for very good reasons. Episode 100, of course, which I spoke about before, which was me and Ash. Separate times, she interviewed me. I spoke for a little bit at the beginning. Episode 101, Leon Nafok. Going to have him on back real soon. It was to talk about, the first time we talked about the first season of his podcast, Slow Burn, from Slate magazine, and that was to do with Watergate. The new season is to do with the Clinton impeachment and the Lewinsky affair and all that. So I'm super looking forward to that, and that should be out early in August. So we'll have to have him back soon. Episode 102 was Jonathan again. Episode 103 was Jonathan again. Episode 104 was Jonathan again. Episode 105 was Jonathan again. Episode 106, Jonathan. Episode 107, Jonathan. Episode 108, Jonathan. Episode 109, Jonathan. We've been talking in a series about a couple different things. So we kind of did a series of podcasts to do with the same subject. The first was Fire and Fury, the book by Michael Wolff. We went through chapter by chapter on that. So then kind of halfway through that book, we started talking about The Wire, kind of season by season, and that morphed into that. So you'll see him pop up again. We just finished that, and you'll hear the final installment in our series on The Wire coming up on the next episode. But we definitely did some multi-part episodes, so that's why you see him on there so much lately, but some great conversations about current events, and also, like I said, Fire and Fury, the book, and also the television series The Wire. Episode 110 was Jonathan Weissman, editor for the New York Times. He's written a book, Semitism, about being Jewish in the age of Trump. Really interesting conversation, talking about hate speech online and in the real world and the consequences and all that. Episode 111 was Jonathan again. Episode 112 was Sarah Kendzior again, her fifth appearance. Always great to have her on the podcast. We'll have to have her back real soon. She's got a podcast that she just started, or is co-hosting, called Gaslit Nation. 2 episodes have come out of that already, and we'll have to have her back real soon because there'll be plenty more to talk about. Episode 113 was Amy Siskind. She is, of course, well known for putting together the list of not normal items under Trump, so a very valuable resource on that, and a really good conversation I had with her. Jonathan was back for episode 114, 115, 116. So, that's pretty much brings us to current on the episodes. So, all right. So, Now ending the way we always do. Very honest look about what I've been listening to as told through the tale of the YouTube history. This is a very honest rendering of what I am into at any given moment. So let's dive in. Most current to least current. David Bowie, Fame, Disco Perfection version, so that means it's longer. Dolly Parton, Shine, cover of the Collective Soul song. December by Collective Soul. Juicy J, Name It After Me. Rihanna, Rude Boy. Rihanna, Only Girl in the World. Now there's going to be some Rihanna on here. I'm just going to say our daughter Emerald loves Rihanna. She's her favorite artist, so that's going to pop up again. Rihanna, Where Have You Been? David Bowie, Aladdin Sane, Rihanna S&M, NERD and Rihanna, Lemon. We got Ariana Grande featuring Nicki Minaj, Side to Side. Rose Royce, Car Wash, Disco Perfection version. Blondie, Rapture, the Disco Perfection version. Hall & Oates, I Can't Go For That, the Disco Perfection version. A lot of these are going to be Disco Perfection version, I'll just warn you. Hall & Oates, Private Eyes. Hall & Oates, Maneater. Rod Stewart, Do You Think I'm Sexy? 10cc, Dreadlock Holiday. Madonna, Like a Prayer. Taylor Swift, Welcome to New York. That was featured in the Secret Life of Pets movie, which is why it's on there. And our son Harper recommended that we listen to that, so that's why that's on there. Pharrell Williams, Happy. Cake, I Will Survive. Cake, Perhaps. Patrick Hernandez, Born to Be Alive. Bee Gees, Night Fever. Quincy Jones, I'm Gonna Miss You. Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Lips Incorporated, Funky Town. Redbone, Come and Get Your Love. Ohio Players, Love Roller Coaster. Aerosmith, Same Old Song and Dance. Aerosmith, Train Kept A-Rollin'. Aerosmith, Sweet Emotion. Aerosmith, Back in the Saddle. Wait, the Whisper Song. Alright, Drake, 0 to 100. The Catch-Up. Drake, Energy. 2 Chainz, Crack. 2 Chainz, Feds Watchin'. 2 Chainz, No Lie. Beastie Boys, Root Down. B-Boys, Making with the Freak by the Beastie Boys. Little Richard, Good Golly Miss Molly. Little Richard, Lucille. Jerry Lee Lewis, Whole Lotta Shakin'. Let's see. Little Richard, Long Tall Sally and Tutti Frutti. Little Richard, I Saw Her Standing There. Chubby Checker, Back in the USSR. Tom Lehrer, We'll All Go Together. 2 Chainz, Dope Peddler. Drake, Started from the Bottom. I'm Different by 2 Chainz. Had some Mac Dre, We Be Jammin', Bleezies and Heem. Young Jock, It's Going Down. 2 Chainz, Spend It. Play a Circle, Duffel Bag Boy. Ludacris, You Got a Problem. One Headlight by the Wallflowers. Bananarama, Cruel Summer Extended Edition. Project Pat, Don't Save Her. Pokey Lafarge, Central Time. Be Legit featuring E40 and Corrupt, Check It. Be Legit, D-Boy Blues. Let's see, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, Country Roads. Waylon Jennings, Good Hearted Woman. Steely Dan, Do It Again. Bonnie Tyler, Need a Hero. The Bengals, Walk Like an Egyptian. Prince, America. The Bengals, Manic Monday. Lady Gaga, Poker Face. Bananarama, Venus. Fight Like a Brave by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Tenacious D, Wonder Boy. Rihanna, Hard. Lady Gaga, Bad Romance. Rihanna, Shut Up and Drive. Rihanna, SOS. Rihanna, What's My Name. Rihanna, Needed Me. Mac Dre, Get Stupid. Frank Sinatra, That's Life. Dr. Dre featuring Snoop Dogg, Still DRE. Tupac featuring Dr. Dre, California Love. Dave Brubeck, Take 5. Booker T and the MGs, Green Onions. Lee Dorsey, Working in a Coal Mine. So I think that probably catches us up. Alright, so thank you for listening to this episode of the Rob Burgess Show. I'll be back with people that are not just me next time around, so I'll catch you then. If you enjoy this podcast, there are several ways to support it. Join the Rob Burgess Show mailing list. Go to tinyletter.com/The Rob Burgess Show and type in your email address. Then respond to the automatic message. I have a Patreon account which can be found at patreon.com/Rob Burgess Show Patreon. I hope you'll consider supporting in any amount. Also, please make sure to comment, follow, like, subscribe, share, rate, and review everywhere the podcast is available, including iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Facebook, Twitter, Internet Archive, TuneIn, and RSS. The official website for the podcast is www.therobburgessshow.com. You can find out more about me by visiting my website, www.thisburgess.com. And if you have something to say, record a voice memo on your smartphone and send it to therobburgessshow@gmail.com. Include voice memo in the subject line of the email. Until next time.